exhausted. It's a Sunday morning in April 2004, and I'm on Blackheath. Soon it will begin to rain. The reason for my exhaustion is because I had a ridiculously early start, and because I've been doing 3 months of running. I'm on the start line of the London Marathon. My earliest memory of the marathon was that my dad ran a marathon. He ran two of them, and I don't remember much more about it. It really wasn't a big thing, apart from 2 new t-shirts appearing in the wardrobe. My strongest memory of the marathon is when I went to watch with a friend who had a friend running. We fought our way through the crowds at Embankment and made our way into St James's Park, which is the finish area. There were bodies everywhere, racked with pain. And I thought to myself, why do people do this to themselves? And I also thought, this is something I never want to do. So how do I find myself on the start line of that very same race? A couple of my friends joined a running club, and they asked if I wanted to go along too. And I thought, why not? It'll be a good chance to catch up on the gossip and to get a bit fit. But primarily for me, it was about the chatting. I was a rower, and I did my exercise sitting down. And when you join a running club, you find that the marathon is the distance. It's the distance that people aspire to run, and it's the distance that people ask you if you've got a time for it. And especially the London Marathon, that is something everyone wants to do. So inevitably, after a little while, my friends and I were having a chat after Run Club with our glass of orange squash. And we thought, well, they thought, we should enter the marathon because it would be fun. Images of the bodies in the park came back to me. Great, why not? Because I knew that the chances of getting a place to run the marathon were very low. I dutifully filled in my application form, sent it off, thought nothing more of it for the next few months, until I got home from work, and there, on the doormat, London Marathon, the results. We're sorry, but you've been unsuccessful. Please try again next year. Yes, I thought. I could do my little happy dance. I thought I was safe. But what I didn't know was that running clubs get their own allocation of places. They can distribute them how they like, and our club had its own mini ballot. And you were eligible for this if you'd entered the main ballot and if you put your name forward. So it was with some surprise that my friend presented me with an envelope. You got the place! What place? Well, we put all our names forward into the ballot and you got the running club place. Great, I thought. Now, what I could have said was, thanks, but no thanks. I don't want to run a marathon. 4 miles, that's enough for me. But I couldn't quite take the social stigma, the fear of rejection from the run club, of being the only person who didn't want to run the London Marathon. So I took my acceptance form home, had a think, and I filled it in and I sent it off. And I did what any good runner does. I went out and bought myself some new kit, and I found a training plan. Now the training was the bit that scared me, because I fully embraced the motto, variety is the spice of life. And the thought of running for 3 months, it's got to be boring. How am I ever going to go through it? But I started, and I loved it. I loved just going out there and running the time that I had to myself. I liked the discipline of my schedule. And I liked the people I met. You get a very special bond with someone when you spend 2 hours with them and your only form of communication is heavy breathing. I was running further than I ever run before, And I was running faster than I ever thought I could. But not all my training was unicorns and rainbows. There were those runs when at some stage the voice in my head went, stop. You can stop, just stop. No one will ever know. Invariably, this was at the furthest place from home. And invariably, I did stop. But no sooner had I stopped than another voice would come from somewhere saying, you're walking, that's terribly slow. You may as well run. And so I did. And I always made it home with the battle of voices in my head. And when I got home, I would give myself a clap, I would take my run off the schedule, and I would move on to what was next. So other people now would go into detail about the race. And I could tell you the story, the secrets that you only know if you've run a marathon, the hazards of water bottles, exactly how to communicate with just a nod. But I realised that for me, it was about getting to the start line. And I faced my fears, and I could do it just for me, with no expectation and no pressure. It was, to use a cliche, about the journey and not really about the destination. Now, I won't pretend that I wasn't filled with emotion and excitement when I was running. It is like you see it on the telly, and I was part of it, against all my expectations, really. And I won't pretend it was easy, like at mile 23, when you've already been overtaken by the womble. And when there are two people chatting casually as they go past, faster than you, and there's nothing you can do. But I could still celebrate, because I was doing it for me, and I was still running further than I'd ever run before, in the London Marathon. And my story continues. I retired from marathon running after running 10 marathons in 10 years. Except for last year when I had a little relapse. And I still love it. I like the freedom. It makes me feel like I'm owning my day. I still like exploring new places, and I like exploring old places, which seem like new with every change of the season. And I remind myself in the rest of life that I'm a marathon runner, that by a steady input and consistent actions, you can achieve amazing things. The things that your mind is telling you you can't do, but that your heart knows that you can. And more than that, those hard runs teach me that everything is temporary. That when you've had the worst day, when you're broken-hearted, when you're so frustrated with your boss that you find yourself crying in your car at lunchtime, that all you need to do is go home and tick the day off. And the next day, you can get up and go out again with no expectation. And it will be okay. Because life, like running, has many ups and downs. And I want you to embrace that and enjoy it. It's all part of the plan. Because I hope that, like me, you're in it for the long run.